Hey, it's Natale. I have an astro mosaic for you today. I want you to go back in time with me, if you will, and try to remember way back to the year of 2012. Do you remember how crazy and hysterical people were about that prediction in the Mayan calendar about the end of the world? The due date for that prediction was December 21st, 2012. And there was this movie that came out that I remember in particular, and it was called 2012 because, yeah, that makes sense. And my main memory of it was John Cusack. He was a writer, I think, and he was estranged from his children, as per usual. That seems what happens in these disaster movies. And they come back to being, a family again. And he's in this crappy RV and he's outrunning meteors that are crashing to Earth. And then there's like these tidal waves that destroy New York City, which happens all the time, LA, the Vatican, these Buddhist temples up in Nepal. And to top it all off, this aircraft carrier named the John F. Kennedy comes through on the tidal wave and obliterates the White House. But I couldn't even remember why that was happening. Like, what was the reason in the movie for all that destruction? So I had to look it up. And the cause of the apocalypse was a drastic temperature increase in the Earth's core caused by mutated neutrinos from a massive solar flare in 2009, which rendered the Earth's crust severely unstable. So now you know that important piece of movie trivia. And interestingly, the movie came out in 2009. So to keep the hysteria high, solar flare was going to happen the year the movie came out. But that was really sensationalistic, and it was just a movie version of 2012. But I want to talk to you about a different version of the same idea. In 2017, after hearing this astrologer named Mark Borak speak on a podcast, I bought his book, also titled 2012. And consequently, it has nothing to do with the world being destroyed like the movie, thank goodness. It was also nice that in 2017, it was a really good price, very big discount, because 2012 had already happened 5 years in the past, and everybody knew that the world was still okay relative to the movie version of 2012. Mostly this book is a poetic astro memoir for Mark Borax as he becomes an apprentice to astrology master William Lonsdale, who now goes by the name Elias Lonsdale. And this is also about his time in the Lonsdale Mystery School, where they were talking off and on about the year 2012. So the book 2012, on a deeper level, is a new creation story. Its intention is to explain what humanity is doing here on Earth. And the movie 2012, on a deeper level, was, I guess, about outrunning fireballs. I don't even know how it got 39% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but I can only guess it's because John Cusack's in the movie and he's kind of great no matter what he does. So that's my best guess. Now, the book 2012 by Mark Borax was published in 2008, around the same time that the movie was being produced. And I thought maybe Borax was hoping to cash in on that 2012 laser focus hysteria of the time, because it's not really about 2012 at all. And the majority of the book is really about this search for answers of a young man. He wants to know, are we all part of the grand design? What on earth are we doing here anyway? What is the resounding need of our time? What happens when we die? How can I stop sabotaging myself and become the person I really am? What are love and sex all about? Where must we go to bring on the optimal future of our species? So they're all good questions. They're great questions. In the afterword of the book, he finally addresses the 2012 mass death prediction of the Mayans. And the takeaway, according to Lonsdale, is that the Mayans predicted a meta death, a time or an era death, not a destroy the world kind of death. This was a turning point, a crossroads in history, a rare window of opportunity forecasted from the ancient days. This is where we are presented a choice. Are we going to emerge from these dark ages to write a new ending to humanity's short-sightedness, to our greed, and fulfill our potential as a species, or are we going to keep being materialistic consumers with no foresight? So it's interesting to note something about 2012. The nodes of the moon, the eclipses, were happening in Scorpio and Taurus during that period, but it was in reverse order. So the north node was in Scorpio and the south node was in Taurus. And Neptune was in the 0 degrees marker of Pisces. So I think it's important to note Neptune and Pisces coinciding with the 2012 timeline and this change that's going to be happening. Neptune's going to be entering Aries in 2025, and that's an entirely new era around more esoteric spiritual values. It's the beginning of whole entire new run around the zodiac, okay? We're coming into a new era of living as humans as we speak. Veils are being lifted, truth is being revealed, the mist is being dissipated. People in power are getting revealed. If we keep giving away our power and we succumb to apathy about how things are beyond our control, how we can't do anything about anything, then we will eventually lose more and more options. We may find ourselves without the options we have now, things that we take for granted. And when I think about the destruction that's memorable and notable in the movie 2012, the physical structures that are being destroyed, they're all human creations. It's Big Ben, it's the Eiffel Tower, it's the Golden Gate Bridge. Do you remember Roger Ebert? He was a movie critic that was really famous in the 80s and 90s. And he said about the movie, "Memo to anyone in the National Mall. When the Earth's crust is shifting, don't stand within range of the Washington Monument." Remember the Washington Monument just topples down. And then he says, "There's little in Los Angeles distinctive enough to be destroyed, but it all goes anyway." Maybe the Hollywood sign. I don't know. But yeah, LA is kind of a big sprawling mess. The point is here in our Astro Mosaic today is that the Earth is going to survive. The Earth will modify and adjust. But all these idols of humanity, these structures that we've steeped in meaning, they're feeble attempts at power. When you compare the real power, the true physical power of the Earth, there's no beating a tidal wave, okay? Tidal wave is a game changer. In the movie, there are arcs being built, just like Noah's Ark in the highest mountains. Some people already know this is going to happen, so they've been building arcs, okay? And certain people get to survive, certain animals get to survive, whatever this is, this purge, this destruction of the Earth, a restart, losing everything, starting back at square one. Actual 2012, the real year that we lived through, not the book, not the movie, it came to an end without much real fanfare. I don't remember much about 2012 being spectacular or weird or anything. It was just another year. That's about it. But life and change is sometimes so subtle. It's a whisper rather than the breaking of the crust of the earth from the inside out. Awareness has started blossoming within people since 2012. It's a big difference between then and now. There's space to be more free in who you are. Who you love is more accepted. What you think and what you don't think is more accepted to be expressed. There's a lot of things that are happening where freedoms are being taken away too. It's just an odd time. It's a little bit confusing. And that is par for the course with Neptune and Pisces. But the clearness is coming. And looking deeply within ourselves, maybe we need to enact some of the concepts of a 2012 mass destruction. Evolve out of things that make you feel ashamed or repressed. Release blame. Take a tidal wave to fear. Forgive somebody. Forgive someone. And free yourself. That's what it does. I'm going to read you a passage from Lonsdale. It's really beautiful. If we can just clear space around us, cosmic forces will rush in to show us life is so much more than we imagined. Clearing space means breathing in, going within yourself, becoming involved in your own magical world, allowing each day to be free and new and something that it's never been. Wonderful things happen when you approach life this way. When you clear this kind of space, the pressure of not being enough or not having enough or not getting enough of whatever, it doesn't really matter enough of what. It gives way to the fact that the universe is good and true, and life can work right on the most profound levels. If you clear this space, despite the crazy tangle of difficulties most of us are caught up in, it becomes evident that Earth is positively awash in spirit. Nothing is cut off from anything. This approach is a way of life that makes complete sense to the inner mind. This is what the soul craves more than anything. If we do this, we will break the paralysis of the species and get on with something infinitely more satisfying. To take this one step further, I've been reading a book by neuroscientist Jill Bolte Taylor. You might have heard of her. She's really famous for a TED Talk that she gave about having a stroke. And since she's a Harvard-trained neuroscientist, she was very aware of the processes and watching her brain turn off as her stroke created a flood in her brain, in her mind. And the book is called Whole Brain Living. And in this book, she maps out the 4 characters of our mind. We all have a part of our brain, she says, that exists solely for understanding the bigger picture. She says we're all connected to the whole, and that the borders of our bodies, the details that seem so important to us, it's only one part of reality. When she had her stroke, the left side of her brain was flooded, and it was the detail-oriented part of the brain, the part that sees differences, that sees I'm me and you're you and I do this and I remember that. It's a personality that's consistent with linear time. That was what was blocked. And she was left with the brain of the right, which doesn't see differences. It doesn't see borders. It just sees this complete flow. She didn't know where she ended and someone else began. Which for me corroborates Lonsdale's point. When we disentangle ourselves from our attachments, that's the only place where truth can be. That's the only place where peace is. We literally have this vehicle in our brains that's designed to remove boundaries. And it's there. It's a vehicle we can get in and drive it if we want to. Why not? I have a lot more to say about the Jill Bolte Taylor book because it really correlates with astrology and archetypes. So I'm excited to share that with you. Lonsdale also is a really underreported astrologer. I don't really hear anybody talk about him much. And he has some very expansive lessons to share throughout the book, 2012. I'll leave a link to the Mark Borak's book in the description if you want to give it a look. And we'll share more about Lonsdale in the future. I'd love to hear your thoughts about 2012, the concept of 2012, the thought of making 2012 a thing in your life to destroy old structures, to take a tidal wave to your metaphorical Big Ben or whatever you want to use, the Eiffel Tower, quel dommage. And I really do. I learned so much from you. And together we're working towards an evolution, an understanding. It's amazing to know that there are people out there that are interested in this sort of thing, that we can talk about things together and we can get to a higher place, because you can only go so far as one. You can only go so far as one person. Anyways, I like you just the way you are, and I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you next time.